Prince William and Kate Middleton will tie the knot in front of almost 2,000 people at Westminster Abbey in April. The invitations have begun arriving on doormats, people in Britain and abroad, including David and Victoria Beckham, some senior politicians and soldiers injured in Iraq and Afghanistan. So how hard must it have been to plan that guest list? Charles Mosley is the author of Blood Royal and former editor-in-chief of Burke's Peerage. He's here with wedding planner Mark Niemierko. Very good morning to both of you. Morning, Charles. Morning. Tell us a little bit about what we've got these sort of categories of
That's
people.
Right.
Just to go through that for us, will you?
Biggest category at 80 seems to be the charity-related people. Next, you get the Governors General, which strikes me as a bit odd. I wouldn't have thought there were that many to go round, but it may be ex-Governors General. Then you've got foreign royals. Sorry, you've got UK royals, numbering about 50, 40 foreign royals, though whether there'll be quite so many at the end of April, given what's going on in the Middle East, there may be a few thrones being toppled. Then you get down to the lower category of, I think it's military people at about 30. Well, of course, both Wills and Harry are serving army officers, so that's quite to be expected.
Now, on the top of my head, maths, that sounds like there's still quite a lot of invites that we don't know about. And is that the area of friends? And we already talk about the Beckhams. So is that there are a lot of people in that category, are there?
Yeah, about 1,000 people of friends of Kate and Wills. Many of them apparently coming from the St Andrews background, because they were at university together, because they've been together for so long. Many of their friends are the same people, as it were, as opposed to girl having 500 friends and boy having 500 friends, which you might more normally get.
So, Mike, you had a chance to have a little sort of look at what the plans are and what little we know at the moment about the makeup of the guests. How does it compare, do you think, with other royal weddings we've seen in the past?
Well, I think it's actually of a smaller scale. I think the thing with Kate and William is they've really wanted to focus this on as being a personal event to them. And sure, we may all think just under 2,000 people is a hell of a lot of guests, but when you compare it to Charles and Diana and previous royal weddings, it's considerably less. But also you've got to remember that the ceremony will be very well attended, and then the receptions afterwards, the guest numbers will decrease. You'll have only 600 guests coming to the Queen's hosted reception, lunchtime reception, and then you'll have only 300, which will be seriously close, family and friends in the evening with the reception hosted by Prince Charles.
Yeah, so Charles, what does this tell us, the breakdown of the guests like this, about the nature of the occasion? Because there's a lot of speculation about how it will be. You know, the scale, we know a bit more about the scale now, and the tone of the whole event.
I suppose it's about the same as any royal wedding, or possibly even very upmarket weddings involving a degree of officialdom, that you've got a ratio of, shall we say, 1,600 to 300, 1,600 being the official element, the professional element, and 300 the close friends. Obviously, some of the people will overlap, and some of them will want to go home before the dinner because they're tired or because they've got a long way to go. But 300, that core element, I suppose about the same number of people as you might get in one of the nightclubs that Wills and Harry like attending so much, is about right, I'd have thought.
And already there's quite a bit of speculation about, obviously, who is and who's in and who's out.
Sure.
I guess we'll gradually learn a bit more about that. Of course, Fergie was the one that everyone sort of, well, they were talking about this yesterday, weren't they?
Yeah. Not
invited, well, so we're told.
Absolutely, but I also think, you know, she might not want to attend herself. She may want to stay away. You know, we know that she doesn't go to Sandringham for Christmas and so forth. So, and she is a divorced, the divorced wife of William's uncle. So I wouldn't necessarily invite my uncle's divorced wife to my wedding.
Charles, if we have a look at these, have a look at some images now. We can look at Charles and Diana's wedding. This is the big one that people think back to, isn't it?
Yes.
In terms of a royal wedding,
it set the tone for royal weddings, I think, for the next century, perhaps.
But given the events that followed, the whole context changed in a way, didn't it? But in terms of the scale of that event and looking at this sort of imagery we have, that's not the kind of thing we're going to see, is it?
No, I think it's lower key, partly because of the austerity of the times, partly because he isn't the Prince of Wales. He's 2 heartbeats away from the throne instead of 1, which Prince Charles was. Secondly, of course, he and Kate have been together for so long, longer, as boyfriend and girlfriend than many people's marriages, whereas Diana had just popped up out of the woodwork back in 81. Nobody had known of her until about February when the announcement was made. So there are all kinds of differences there.
And it's, the friendship thing also significant, isn't it? You said how long they've been together before. I guess that's quite different, isn't it? I mean, they really want to celebrate this with their friends as well as officialdom and family.
I think that's the way now. I certainly see that with my couples. They've been together for at least 5 years in some cases, and they've lived together even, and they share the same friends, and even maybe went to universities together and worked together. So it's a close-knit circle.
And Charles, do you know, I know the inverts have only just gone out, but are people sworn to secrecy? I mean, is there a little note in there saying, please don't mention, this is private at this stage? Or how's it?
The wedding invitations themselves are apparently almost as austere as the times we live in, with the Lord Chamberlain is commanded by Her Majesty the Queen to invite so-and-so to the wedding of etc, etc, etc. Brown envelopes, in other words, looking rather like a communication from the taxman. So let's hope you don't throw it away by mistake. That would be absolutely fatal. I think that otherwise, it will be very much the same ultimately. Anybody who's wise will keep their mouth shut, because, of course, to blab about these things gets you crossed off the guest list for next time, if there is a next time. I suppose Wills's wedding will be the next one to look forward to, and then there's the Diamond Jubilee. But also, people, if they're going to be close to royals, tend to learn to keep their mouths shut.
There you go. We'll leave it on that note. Thank you both very much. Nice to see you here this morning.